All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at 6.6. I know I just said this, but I want to say it again just so in case somebody watches these over again, they remember. On Thursday when you take your quiz, you must have all the vocabulary. I'm going to check that. I'm checking your binders, and I will check the review. Okay? So we're learning 4 new postulates and theorems. The triangle probability theorem we also call theorem 6.5. Okay? And, oh no, I'm sorry, this is 6.4. And then 6.5 is the converse, just so we know. So, triangle probability theorem. I keep saying probability. Triangle proportional theorem, it's like I can't read today. If a line to one side of a triangle intersects the other two sides, then it divides the two sides proportionally. Okay? So if a line, should we draw a picture? If a line parallel to one side of the triangle, so we've got a triangle and we've got a line that's parallel to one side of that triangle. And it intersects the other two sides, so it must go through both of these sides, otherwise it doesn't work. Then it divides the two sides proportionally. So I'm just going to label these A, B, C, and D. A over B must equal C over D. So I'm going to go over that. There's the picture's up on the board, but I'm going to explain it one more time. We've got a triangle. We've got a line that goes through the triangle that's parallel to one of the sides. It cuts the sides proportionally. So A over B equals C over D. Okay, the converse of that is if a line divides two sides of a triangle proportionally, then that third side must be parallel. So if we know A over B equals C over D, then we know the line is parallel. Remember, the stripes are 11, looks like parallel. Okay. Any questions about that so far? Okay, 6.6. If 3 parallel lines intersect 2 transversals, then they divide the transversals proportionally. So if 3 lines are parallel to each other, remember we show parallel with the arrows, and there are 2 transversal lines, those transversal lines cut it up proportionally. So if this is A and B, and again this is C and D, A over B equals C over D. Okay. Last, if a ray bisects an angle of a triangle, then it divides the opposite sides into segments whose lengths are proportional to the lengths of the other two sides. So, if we're a triangle, and I'm a ray that cuts it in half, then these sides are proportional to these sides. So those sides are proportional to those sides. So that would be X, oh dear. All right, unfortunately these pictures are going to disappear. If you need me to draw them again, I will. But I want to make this last picture clear. So we have a triangle, we have a ray. We know that X over Y equals B over, A over B. So sometimes I feel like when I just give you the picture and what it means, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And if we try it with numbers, it'll be better. So let's try it with numbers for some of these. Okay. Let's look at. I'm gonna move this out of my way so I have more room. Okay. All right. We're looking at A. So what does A look like? Does it look like triangle proportionality theorem, converse of proportionality theorem, theorem 6.6 where there's 3 parallel lines, or 6.7 where there's a ray that cuts it in half?
6.4.
So we think it looks like 6.4. We're already given that the 2 lines are parallel. So we're probably dealing with 6.4. 6.4 means what? We're going to set up a proportion. That's what we're doing for all of these. So what's proportional? So we've got CB over AB. So that side is proportional to this side. So I know this is really new and looks different. We're taking the little one over the bigger one is proportional to little over big. And then we simply cross multiply. 6 times x is 6x. 8 times 5 is 40. 6 goes into 40. 6 times, what, 36, 7, 3, 8, 3, 9, 40. 4, 6, or 2/3 left over. You want to try another one like that? Yeah. Let's look at B. Okay, this one's a little more difficult. What am I going to do? So I know I'm going to do 20 over 25 equals, what goes with 20? What would also be on top? X. But here's what comes difficult. Do I know what D to H is? No. How would I figure that out? I know D to G is what? 50. And I know H to G is X. If I added these two, the red and the blue together, would I get 50? So how would I find the red? If I know the whole thing is 50, I would take away the X. Okay. So we're going to cross multiply. Remember, it's 25 times x is 25x equals, and I would write this out, 20 parentheses 50 minus x, because you guys have a tendency to forget to distribute. And then we're going to go 20 times 50 gives us 1,000 minus 20x equals 25x. I'm going to add 20x to both sides. And I get 45x equals 1,000. And I divide by 45. And I get x equals 22.2 repeating. Yeah? No? You want to try C? Let's do C. You guys look like I'm telling you crazy stories. Can I help you guys? Does somebody have a question? Is that why we're being silly over there? Yeah.
They're giggling too much.
Yeah. Knock it off. Okay, we're looking at C. Let's see. Is there something that's really easy to set up that you know it's this over this? 7 over 11. That's correct. All right, what about the other one?
20
What goes with 7?
X.
Okay, so that was easy. But do we know what n to p is?
23 minus 1.
23 minus, not y because we want to find y. 23 minus, there you go. Okay, so we cross multiply. So we get 11x equals 7 times parentheses 23 minus x. Okay, so then we're going to do 7 times 23, which equals 161, minus 7x equals 11x. We add 7 to both sides. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 equals 161. Divide 161 by 18, and we get x equals 8.94 repeating. How are we going to find what y is?
So subtract 23.
Because we know x plus y equals 23, right?
So you plug in your X and you subtract.
And we know x is 8.94, repeating, plus y equals 23. So we got 23 minus 8.94. And so y equals 14.0556.
She's like around that.
Yeah. Can I what? Okay, so all of that, do you guys get with 6.4? Those were just different ways of doing 6.4. A was kind of the easiest way. Then we went a little bit harder. It looks like what we're going to do is we're going to switch to D, E, and F is all which one? Look at them again. What line, like if you looked at D, so let's pull D up. Sorry, I know this is messy. Okay, so if we're looking at D, what side would that be parallel to? It could be the converse, but what could it be parallel to? So, side XZ, does that look like it's parallel to anything? Does it look like it's a ray that bisects an angle? Do you see that these two angles are congruent? That must mean it bisects it. So which one are we looking at then? Not the converse. We don't have 6.7, right? If a ray bisects an angle of a triangle, then it divides the opposite sides proportionally. There's supposed to be a 12 that goes with this. Okay. So we've got this triangle right here. We know if a ray bisects an angle, it divides them proportionally. Okay, so I know 12 over A equals 22 over 12. Okay? Well then, it's just simply cross multiplying now. 12 times 12 is 144, which equals 22A. Divide 144 by 22. And we get 6.54.